How's it going, Johnny? Good morning. Let's get the links in here. Getting slightly distracted and help with also. How's it going, DJ Devin? Good morning. All right. Okay. Need to shuffle a few more and then we're ready. Sorry. I was like getting started. I didn't actually have everything set like I do some weeks. Almost there. All right. Let's see. I spent an hour trying to log in to Azure and administer an old VM. Turns out I need to use an old account, but forgot. But found out that I have 350 credit there. Nice. Yeah, that is pretty sweet. Got the old finding money in the Azure account ground. Good deal. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see here. All right. Good morning. Thanks to anybody watching. For anybody that might be new, my name is Tim. I go by FoamyGuy on GitHub and Discord. Typically, I am working on CircuitPython stuff on this stream, so I do stream nearly every week at this time. I'll take the day off if I've got something else going on, but usually I'm here Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time to stream for a couple hours and work on some CircuitPython stuff. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more at the main website, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers, such as these ones depicted over here on the downloads page. These devices will plug into your computer with a USB cable. Most often, they'll show up like a thumb drive. There's a code.py file on that thumb drive. You can edit the code file, and then the actual chip on these devices will interpret and execute that Python code for you. It can then interact with the I/O pins, which are what they call these things all along the sides, so that it can be hooked up to other various, electronical bits of stuff, whether it's lights or buttons or beepers or sensors, speakers or displays or, Lego Mindstorm stuff or alligator clips or Cherry MX keys or knobs or whatever. These microcontrollers can connect to all of those sorts of things, and then you can use that Python code with CircuitPython in order to interact with that stuff. So if you are interested in supporting the project, the best way to do that is just head over to adafruit.com and purchase yourself some hardware. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They're the company that provides the financial backing for CircuitPython by paying the team of folks who work on it. There's a team of folks that work on it full-time and are paid by Adafruit to do so. There are some of other folks like me who are paid to work on it part-time. And so thank you, as always, to Adafruit, and thank you to anybody who wants to head there and buy yourself some toys in order to help support. I'm also a little bit enthralled with this. We're going to go on a slight rabbit hole right away. Anybody who has watched the stream before may know that I'm a little bit ADD, I guess. I will entertain rabbit holes, so to speak. I'm easily distracted sometimes. This is actually pretty interesting to me. I hadn't seen this one yet. I guess this is probably a new one this week. I didn't catch the streams this week. I was out on Wednesday. What's the max distance on this? All the way down, all the way up. I don't actually see a max distance, but I am not actually reading fully. I'm definitely just skimming. Interesting. I wonder what the max distance is. This is really cheap for a distance sensor, I feel like. What's this plug? This is a 3-pin JST looking jobby. Okay, so it's probably like ground data signal or something. Ah, right, okay, on the back, 1 to 4 millimeters. Okay, so it's actually very close. Interesting. So it would be best for like, I don't know, bed leveling or something like that, kind of like CNC, I guess. Can tell you when you're like about to touch something. Interesting. Sensor they were playing with it for the floppy drive. Okay, yeah, you could. It could probably tell you whether or not a floppy has been put in or not. I could believe that. Could be some other part of the system as well. Been wondering why I never got invoiced for that one. There you go. All right. So yes, thanks again to everybody who purchases hardware from them. Thanks as always to Adafruit for making all this possible. Today, I am looking at making some updates in the display text guide. This is not actually the guide I thought it was. That is this one over here. In the display text guide, there is a page called Types of Labels, which has the label, the original one, the bitmap label, which is the newer one, and then there is a section on advanced color masking, which is actually, truthfully, a bit out of place on this page. But it is here nonetheless. What there are not listed on this page right now are 2 of the newer, fancier types of labels, which are the outlined label and the scrolling label. Both of which I created scrolling label back when I was working on, I never put my name in it apparently. Well, I'm down here, I guess. I didn't put my name in the copyright. What you call it, Winamp. The Winamp PyPortal project, I made this to show the name of the song that's playing, and then outlined label I made more recently, not for a specific project, just for fun. And I think it would be nice to have them both listed here, because as far as I know, they are not anywhere in any guides, and this feels definitely like the most appropriate place for them, because it's all about display text. One thing I'm gonna try... fingers crossed, knock on wood, one thing I'm gonna try to do, hopefully real quick, is get it to where I can run the examples of these things on Blinka Display.io with my Pygame display library. But I don't know if it's gonna work, and I don't want to spend the entire stream troubleshooting Blinka Display.io Pygame display. So if it's not working and I try a few things and it's still not working, then I'll probably give up and move to a microcontroller. The reason, though, that it would be nice to be able to use the Pygame display on the PC is, like, if you look at this, screenshot right here, this screenshot is not like a photograph of a PyPortal or something. It's an actual screenshot, of a Pygame window in my case. There's a lot of these over on this page as well, where like all of these things, they're not like photographs of a TFT screen. Instead, they are actual screenshots through Blinka Display.io. I would like to be able to do the new ones that way, but the Pygame display, I'm unsure if it's working right now. Just went to display text examples. They're not added yet. What's not added yet? Display text examples. I'm pretty sure there's examples for both of them. I would say that I'm more sure there's an example for outlined label, but I'm also pretty sure there's one for scrolling label as well. Outline label I know because it was just merged. There are a lot of examples though, so it's like I have to find it in the list. Label simple test right there. Outlined display text outlined label simple test, and then scrolling label display text scrolling label. Doesn't say simple test, so the naming's not very consistent, but there's one for that as well. There's a standard way to handle libraries that includes some micro-specific. I'm not sure. Wait for outline at the end of the file name. Yeah, I go back. My real problem with naming not only files but variables as well, honestly, is that I'm not very consistent. Honestly, I kind of just name it however, whatever I feel like is best in the moment, and that changes from moment to moment, which is a bit odd. So like sometimes I feel like it should have simple test on it if it is a simple test, and like I'm in the mindset where that is correct to me, and I was in that mindset when I named this one. Scrolling label, though, it turns out I was apparently not in that mindset when I named that one because it doesn't have simple test on it. So like I was in some other mindset where I was like, let's make it shorter so that we don't have a repeated word a bunch of times. But I don't necessarily know what leads to those different mindsets. But I've noticed that about myself. What's the PR here? Oh, rough. Oh, right. That's me, duh. That's probably I could close that. And there's a bunch of new ones opened up by Justin and a bunch of other repos. That was before those new ones. All right, so we're going to try this. I don't know if it's going to work. I think, so like I've been off and on trying to fix it. There's a couple older streams. You can go back a couple of months if you want to watch them where I was working on it. I got it to where I think it was like kind of functional in some ways and not in some other ways. I think it would be functional enough for what I need to do. But there's also been more changes in Display.io since then, and I did just install the new one. I'm pretty sure, though, we're going to want to be going back to the other one, though. So I'm actually just about to do this. Equals 1. Those are not equals. Equals 1.2.0. I'm going to try this. Yeah, I will say one thing. I think you have the ones that do like different colors in the outline. I think you showed me one time, like red, blue, white. I don't know what the fourth color would be. In my head, there's a fourth color. That kind of effect like you have on the one label that's like that, I don't think will work with this one. But anything that's a solid outline color could work. I wonder, it's an interesting thought exercise. How would I approach those more multicolor ones with this kind of outline label? Be a bit trickier. You could maybe tie it to like the X or Y coordinate, and then you could kind of do a gradient or something. That would be pretty interesting. Soft Keyboard got a shout out on Paul Cutler and Todd Bott's bootloader. Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I don't know why that took so long to install, but it is done now. Let's see if this runs. I'm not necessarily sure if it's gonna run. Yeah, that doesn't seem ideal. So, a manual refresh. So if I recall correctly, That seems promising, actually. That seems pretty good. If I recall correctly, which unfortunately I don't, not sure if I actually streamed the latest bit of work I did on this. And I didn't really leave myself notes or anything, unfortunately, so I'm not 100% certain of where I was at. But to the best of my recollection, the place where I left off is I'm in this new branch, new Blinka Display IO, no separate thread. I was trying to remove all the threading from Pygame Display, which I will from henceforth call Pygame Display instead of Blinka Display IO Pygame Display, even though that's the full name. I was trying to remove all the threading from Pygame Display because now Blinka Display IO, which Pygame Display depends on, has threading built into it, and I don't think the two threadings play very nicely. So I had put threading in Pygame Display before I think it existed in Blinka Display IO, and then Blinka Display IO got updated with threading, and now I think we need to remove it from Pygame Display. I was in the process of doing that. If I recall correctly, the place where I left off specifically is the current version of this code is working if you manually refresh the display with displaybot.refresh. But if you try to use auto refresh, which is defaulted to true, it doesn't work. So as you can see here, simple test, I ran it. We got this error. And we did not see anything interesting on the screen except for the empty window. But manual refresh test, it does work and it does update. So let's try one thing in simple, which you can see I've already even got like a bunch of the code here. How does this work? Wow, that's awesome. I did not mean to close that the first time, and then I was busy thinking about how annoying it is that you can click to try to get to that menu. No, so this is still broken. It still has the same thing, actually. So I think we need to not have auto refresh true in the first bit. Maybe this should just be false from the start. Then I don't think it matters if we do it again, but I'll take it out. Ah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. All right. I do think this used to be able to refresh faster. I'm not sure how well the scrolling label is going to turn out with this speed of refreshing, but it's drawing. So we can do outlined label and we can see how it works and go from there. So I am going to grab outlined. I think I'm going to do outlined label first because that's going to be the easier one to get the screenshot of. Let me catch up on the chat as well. The one with 5 labels was just a means to an end for the outline. Turned out that I had more control in the style. Let's take 5 times more RAM. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, these ones take a bit more, but not quite multiples, I don't think. Async IO display? Not async IO, but threads, which is weird that there's a difference, but there is, to the best of my knowledge. Let me go back up if you plan on upgrading the microcontroller.bin today. It's a good reminder. I don't know that I will do that today, but I will remember to think about it twice if I do. I'm gonna just paste in the outlined label. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. I have a setup only. I'm gonna copy paste setup only and change that to be outlined label. Simple test, because I'm back in the simple test mindset. Even though now my name is like 9,000 characters long. In this library, it's particularly bad because the name of the library is already huge. In fact, that's the new longest one, which is pretty crazy. Almost none of the rest of them have simple test except for this one, so I guess I'll go back to being consistent, even though I do feel like it is wrong in this moment. The inner struggles of naming. I'm going to add it because this would be nice to have in the repo. It does have this false, and so it should just draw an empty window by itself. And then, actually, it did a lot more stuff. Why did it do more stuff? I think I ran the wrong thing. Okay, I was looking at the wrong file totally. We need auto refresh false. We need to refresh once before we go. And then we'll need to refresh if we change anything, but we won't need to for this one really. I'm pretty sure the order of these imports is making this thing take a really, really long time to launch. That feels like a thing that shouldn't really happen based on everything I thought I knew about Python. But check this out. If I just swap these, boom, pretty much instant. So we were waiting like 8 or 10 seconds for it to launch when those imports were the other way around. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi. Launch. And then we just put that one down there. Boom. I don't know what that's about. That's really weird. I don't like it, but I don't understand it. And it kind of runs counter to what I thought I understood about Python, and so I'm scared to look into it too much. Especially since the fix workaround, let's call it a workaround. Yeah, fix I don't think is necessarily true, but the workaround is super easy. Just put that after and then instant again. Ta-da. Conman? Yeah, I would not go with Conman probably. It's because it's on a Pi, so there's actually threads. Yeah, well, this one is just running on my PC, my Linux PC. Yeah, and then Blinka Display IO in its typical use case runs on the Pi, which does have threads. Just wait till all the connection managers, simple tests, examples start popping up. Yeah. Well, in that case, I think we just change over the existing ones to use Connection Manager eventually. Like right here at the beginning, it makes sense maybe to have a separate Connection Manager example that is just Connection Manager. But I think as time goes on, we just update all the other examples to actually use it, since it will become the kind of best practices way to do it. And then that way they keep all their old names and they don't necessarily need to spell out Connection Manager. Just because it like is the new way, basically. Can go unsaid, I think. Okay, now we can grab the outlined label code from here. Oh, I was control clicking, which apparently can select those, but I don't know what happens next. I don't really need this. Well, I do because I want hello world, I guess, huh? Okay, fair enough. Let's do some stuff here. We don't have board.display. So this needs to be down here. I think display.width works. I already have main group. I am going to add my outlined label, which I have currently cut, into... We need to keep this at the end, I'm pretty sure. What just happened? Oh, a new file suddenly. Okay, interesting. Ooh, I don't know. Terminal IO comes from display IO also, though. I wonder if that's going to make it be long again. Probably don't have display text in this virtual environment. But maybe I do. Well, we must actually, because Hello World showed in that one example. But I wonder if it's going to be the new one. Oh, but I don't... Ooh, I just thought of something. So I don't think this is going to work because this doesn't have blit. I mean, bitmap tools. This is another one where they're vertical. And vertical here. Interesting. What's the raw code? 1 space. Interesting. Okay, yeah, this is not going to work actually because there's no bitmap tools here, and outline the label needs bitmap tools to work. Bitmap tools blit, be specific, which would be a top level thing here if it existed. We could try to implement it, I guess. We could try to implement it, I guess. Is there still a Python implementation inside a bitmap label? There is. Actually, we might be able to have this work. Well, no. Actually, maybe. So this is going to be false because this is old. Actually, double check. Pretty sure that's going to be false. Actually, it is still here. Interesting. Okay, this may work. It's a bit weird, and it's arguable. You could say that potentially this should get removed from bitmap, honestly, because it no longer exists in the core, and it moved to bitmap tools. But the fact that it is there actually might end up saving us here so that this can work on Blinka Display IO. I do think we will need to change something, probably, because I bet this is calling bitmap tools blit directly. So yeah, we're calling bitmap tools blit right here, which won't work, but we extend bitmap label, and bitmap label actually has fallback code that is compatible. Compatible-ish. It's not one-to-one compatible. It's slightly different because the order of the arguments is different. This has target, so it calls them target and source instead of destination and source, which the other one does. But that would be the destination. Then it has XY. Then it has source. Then it has a clipping. Actually, you know what? No. It needs to have skip dest index in order to work. So at the time when this got moved into bitmap tools, it also got this added to it, which this I added to it for the purpose of this outlined label. It needs this to work. So the fallback one that is in bitmap label does not have the skip dest index, which we need in order to be able to use. But I will say the fallback one does have all of this code, which could basically become the basis for the Blinka Display I/O implementation of blit. And the other thing we discovered was that actually bitmap itself in Blinka Display I/O does still have blit, but does not have skip dest index. What is the easiest way to do this, actually? Because I do feel like maybe we can make this work. It won't just work right now, but I think we can make it work. So we want to add this capability, skip dest index. I think the easiest way to make this work is going to be add this to Blinka Display I/O bitmap blit. But we also need to I need to be at version 1.2.0. How do I check out version 1.2.0? Is that a tag or something? Tag? If I just say 1.2.0, is that going to check it out? Nice. Okay, so I want 1.2.0, and then I want to go to bitmap. This is like super hacked together, but I think we're going to be able to make it work. I want to go to bitmap, I want to find blit, and I want to modify it to have also skip dest index int. Should be optional int, I guess, but yeah. A bunch of these are, but like all of these are optional too, so I think it's fine to leave it without optional, I guess. All right, and then what we want is, this is looping this pixel. Okay. I actually made this change in Python first, but replacement with, what's this pixel color? If skip index is none, so if there is no skip index, or if the current pixel is not the skip index color, then it's going to go ahead and write it in. So what we want is we need to add one more check right here for if skip dest index is none, or if we want the dest pixel color, dest pixel color equals dest target? No. Self. Self is the target bitmap in this case. So self pretty sure like all of this stuff should be the same. Sure, placement is within the target bitmap. Get the palette index from the source bitmap. No. This is not the same, but this would be the same right here. So we get the color of the place we're about to put our pixel into, and then if that color, dest pixel color, is not the skip dest index. Also, let me catch up on the chat. Like, it doesn't have bitmap tools. Why? It just hasn't been implemented. Our Pi people too used to using PIL for everything. I don't think that's necessarily the case. It just hasn't been implemented. Bitmap tools is like not brand new, but newer into the display IO repertoire, and it's just not used by everything, so it just never got implemented. Blinka has everything CircuitPython does. It tries to stay in sync, but it's not always 100%. Yeah, just it's not 100%. Skip index, skip dest index are two different things for blitting. Yes, skip index allows you to skip colors that are coming from the source bitmap, whereas skip dest index allows you to skip pixels in the destination when their color matches the skip dest color. You can make an argument optional by setting it to none. Yeah. How would you get it to throw the wrong type error for int if it's set to none, though? Yeah, I think you'd have to check the type somehow. Yeah, if you wanted to have it, I mean, it is set to none. If you wanted to validate the type, well, I don't know. Maybe this is enough to, is this enough to validate? I mean, I don't think so, because that's just type hints, right? I don't think that will do anything at runtime. I'm not sure, actually, if there's type validation happening or not. I don't think so. I think you would have to add it explicitly, like if the type of this thing, well, that's JavaScript, isn't it? Type of, but is it type function, I think, in Python? All right, I think that's honestly all we need. I do need to like get this to be the version of Blinka Display.io that I have installed, which means I'm going to come to here. I'm going to go to the terminal. I am going to just go up one. I'm actually just going to uninstall Blinka Display.io right now, because right now the one that's installed would be from PyPy. All right, that one is now at that 120, but with my modification. Let me close some of these ones I'm not using. It's not very many of them, it turns out. Fine. Okay, yeah, 57 EA. So now I should be able to actually just say pip install. I'm going to do -E, which will make it keep in sync with what's here. Which actually we probably don't want ultimately. To think of it. You're putting it in there for typing. I mean, the int is there for typing, but I'm not sure if it's going to raise the type error or not. CircuitPython typing is just for types that don't exist in regular Python. So like int exists in regular Python, therefore we don't need to use CircuitPython for anything. But like, it's a good example. Like a busio.i2c, the class, that does not exist in regular Python. But it is a class that we want to be able to type in our libraries. So that exists in CircuitPython typing as kind of like a definition of a class that you can apply. That is kind of a slow pip install. Even locally, that was kind of slow. Yeah, it's wigging out because of the 0.0 stuff, but that's fine, I think. Okay, so the other change that we are going to need to make is we can't just call bitmap tools blit straight up right here. Make a new branch from main. I'm going to update main in case I don't have the latest one. I'm going to make a new branch from main called guide screenshots. Screenshot. And then in that one, I'm gonna make this change. So that's gonna be self.bitmap.blit. That's gonna be gone. So self, and then XY, and then source. So these are out of order. This has source before XY, so I'm going to put that after. So self gets passed in here, then XY, and then source. Self XY source, and then skip dest index is named, so it doesn't matter where that's at as much. What? Yeah, I think that should be the same thing we need, basically. So now we need to get this version of display text installed in that virtual environment also. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to go to Adafruit display. CircuitPython. Can I do that? Guide screenshot. Okay, that's good. That's the one we're on. So I'm going to actually do pip uninstall it first. Get rid of the one from PyPy. Oh, it doesn't have that in this? I don't know the name off the top of my head. I wish PyPy names and Circup names were the same. Apparently I do know the name. Maybe I could have done dashes also, I suppose. Okay, now we want to go... this time I'm actually not going to do the E. Because really I want this snapshot installed. I don't really want it to stay up to date. Like if I change branches or something, then that's going to be getting all weird. Mementos taking screenshots. Yeah, there's bitmap saver, which could work, but then it saves. It's just more difficult than being able to grab the screenshot on my PC, basically. This is taking forever to install also. What is up with pip installs? Bitmap saver maybe could work. Like I could run my code on a PyPortal or something, and then I could use bitmap saver to save the screenshot onto the SD card, and then I could get the SD card out and plug it into my computer. Or if I use an ESP something, then it can have web workflow, which makes it more convenient. Yeah, like the Memento. It's just more steps though. This way I'll be able to run it directly on the computer, take the screenshot directly on the computer, and be done. Not having to copy it around or access the files through any special way or use the saver or anything. And my images will be PNG instead of bitmap, which will be nice because I think, I'm not 100% positive, but I think that Learn media thing is happier with PNGs, bitmaps. I think bitmaps, you can include them as like a downloadable file or something, like as part of your project, but believe that the PNGs are what the media thing says to use. This is crazy how long this is taking. I don't understand why these are taking so long to install. Kind of wigging me out a bit. I mean, that was a lot of stuff that just flew by, I guess, but like... I don't know. Okay. So now we're using our modified outline label. We're using our modified blinka display IO with blit. Yeah, I think maybe this could actually run now. But of course it closed because obviously, why would you want to keep the thing open that you just right-clicked on to find run? Clearly you meant to close it, right? Bus display. Huh? I went to 120, right? Can't see our tag anymore, I guess. Oh, I did that through here. Wish I could see the tag. Is there a way to see the tag? No. How to get, how to see current tag. Get described tags. 120. What I used when I started. What? This does already have display bus. What? Oh, not okay, display bus, not bus display. Okay. I know what happened. When I tried to install display text, it also upgraded Blinka. Which is also, I guess, why it took forever. Boy, that's annoying. Why did it do that? Now we get to wait for it to install again. Hey. Yeah, I guess, but I mean, like, I had it installed already. Like, oh, okay. The one I had installed was 000 auto because it was installed from the code and not an official thing. So that's less than 10, and because that's specified at 10, it doesn't work. I guess I get it. It's just inconvenient for me in this moment, I suppose. Should have paid closer attention. I really wish this was not going so slow. I'm gonna go and make a new coffee here in a little bit once the water is hot. Did I turn the water on? I need to double check if I turned it on. I filled it up. Okay, now we want to get our display text, but not with PyPy, I guess, because I don't want to deal with that thing. I'm just gonna copy this. We're gonna go old school style, the old copy paste-a-rooney. That is not going to work because when we run this, we're actually running it from root. It did work actually, but it does need to not import. Which one imports that? We need it. Okay, yeah, I did turn the kettle on. I can hear it, I think. Outline label. Maplet is missing a required keyword only argument. This might not actually work. Those are required in this implementation. It always sounds easier than it is, huh? All right. Oh, okay. I don't really know what these are supposed to do, like specifically, technically speaking. Minimum X value for the rectangle bounding box to be copied from the source. Maximum. Okay, we want to work. I mean, the fact that we didn't specify makes me think we want to be doing the whole thing. So we're going to try 0, 0. And then those other two look like they did default to max width and height. But we have to pass them anyway. Yeah, okay, so this is weird. This checks for none, but you can't do that. If you do that, it gives you this error, which is weird. All right, I'm gonna go make a coffee. I'll be right back. Okay. So the way this is written, it looks like it's intended to support passing none or not passing it, but it doesn't seem like it works to do that. So we will just do what it says, which is, I mean, I guess we can give it none, maybe. Okay. Oh, it no longer crashes. Ah, okay. So text area we did not add to main group. I think I said that I was going to do that at one point and never actually did it. So we're showing main group, but main group doesn't have the text area in it. We're using show instead of root group because that's also not updated in this version. It worked finally, hooray. Okay. Okay. All right. Took a minute, but we got there. Running late today, power was just restored. Oh dear, glad it's back for you. Good morning to Seeker over as well. Dan called it a second mount point or something. Yeah, I don't think you can do that yet. Web workflow just added the ability to access the SD card files, which is like super duper convenient compared to taking the card out. Well, I guess it's useful as learning dependencies requirements. Yep, it did turn out to be. It is weird that that's specified 10.2, or I wonder why it's like that. Why everyone should watch you. Honestly, there's so much to learn about intricacies of CircuitPython. Weather's beautiful. Yeah, I didn't want to jinx myself yesterday, but I was a little worried yesterday about my own power. It's very windy around here. Wind seems to be the thing around here that gets us in trouble with the power most of the time. Yeah, I've seen those pictures of squirrels too, with the or the videos with the transformer opening up and then the nuts just like pouring out. It's like an unimaginable amount of nuts that got stuffed into that thing. I can't believe how many little acorns that squirrel was able to squirrel away inside there. All right, I think. I mean, types of labels, right? It's definitely a type of label. This page isn't super long. It's not like we're making it be a mile long or anything if we add 2 more sections. So I think what we do is just add a section right there. Outlined? Are these 1 word or 2 words? 1 words. Match the class name. Let's get the version. Three, 1, 0. No, that should be, I think, code. Bold is for files. Bold is for files. What about version? Version, I feel like maybe could be bold as well. That one's in an alert, which makes it a bit different. I think I'm gonna go there. In fact, we may as well even just link to this release, right? We can just link right to there. Not to there, though. That's not really what I want. I'm going to link to the 3.1.10 release, which, there it is. Okay, yeah, that's what I want right there. Copy that. It's also time for a re-up on the old music here in just a second. Let me put that. Just save that. I'm a big, I really like to preview basically back and forth while I'm working on guides, because it's, the editor shows a few things a little bit different sometimes. We didn't cause power outages here, but our kind of wind is like 100 miles per hour. Yikes. Yeah, we don't usually get that hefty of a wind, luckily, but have a lot of trees and a lot of, I think, power lines that don't get cleared maybe as much as they should. They don't really get cleared until they're broken because a tree fell on it. It's like, I feel like a little bit of proactive clearing before it's broken because a tree fell on it might actually prevent a bunch of the tree parts that fall on it from falling on it. But very much a deal with it after the fact kind of area, it seems. We want to listen to, I think. Oops. Oh, actually, I just like to start on the second one there, though. All right. It goes to display text. Ah, yeah, thank you. I think if I just delete that and then backseat forward C's, yeah, there we go. And then I want to put a screenshot, but I think this, like, I think we should use a side 2 like this, because our screenshot's going to be, you know, small, kind of like this is. Should we make it bigger? We might as well go bigger, right? We have room. Probably not that much room, but we can go by one more, I think. Yeah. And this is what? This is an outline size of 1, which is the smallest it can be, okay. But it's scaled by 4, so it means it's like 4 pixels, right? You know, actually, instead of hello world, I want this to say, I want to use the new line one, and I actually want it to say outlined label. Outlined new line label. Yeah. We maybe could even go up to a scale 5. We can, yeah. Now I think I will scoot it slightly more to the right. We'll go 20 instead of 10. Yeah. Here I can just, little screenshot snipping tool action on that. That will actually save it as a file over here somewhere. I'm going to go ahead actually and just copy paste right away into my downloads, because I actually use my downloads folder as kind of like staging for a bunch of crap. Outlined label screenshot. We are on the edit one. We're going to make a new thing. It's going to be a side 2, upload, downloads. And that's a bit backwards, but with that, we will just take the full thing, license, default, fine, submit, yes. Here is an example of an outlined label with pink text. Is it called text color? Just called color. Okay, I guess let's just say with pink. I want to specify text color. With pink text color and green outline color. And I'm going to use the underline code variety of this because that is the literal property name. And then for this one, I'll do it just on color since that's what color is, even though I also did put text. Outline label, that's a class. I don't know why this doesn't close when you click out of it. Here's an example of an outlined label with pink text color and green outline color. The code to initialize this label can be seen below. New thing. Code. Is all this stuff necessary? Honest, a lot of this is a bit awkward. I wish I didn't necessarily need all of this. I don't know if it's gonna, probably it's necessary though. No, that's fine, okay. I think there are some sizes of that where it matters. I know there is like an exception, like right here. Padding must be big enough to fit. I should go back though and like try to like make it work anyway, basically. I should go back and have it just increment the padding until it finds one that works, basically. That would be convenient, I think. But for now, this is nice because we can at least get rid of all of that. I think I will just also put this literal thing here so that we don't need 2 lines of code for that. Yeah, and then we can take that code, oops. Put that here, that's Python. All right, let's check out the live one. Sure, we're looking good on this side. Outlined label. Starting with the release version 3.10 of Adafruit display text. With the release version 3.10, the Adafruit display text library now supports outlined label, which lets you make text with an outline stroke of a specified size and color. Here is an example of an, should we say the, of the outlined label? I think I like an better, even though, because I'm thinking it's like an right here is a bit awkward, but I'm not, honestly, I'm not that great of an English writer. If I'm gonna be very upfront about it. Here's an example of an outlined label with pink text color. Could it be comma? Feels like a comma, but I always get my commas messed up, honestly. With pink text color, comma, like space, like take a breath, right? Little break there. With pink text color and green outline color. Code to initialize this label can be seen below. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a lot better at code than I am English. If a literal is only used once, then it's premature. Optimization to break it out into a variable. See below is an example. No, the command is extra. No, the command is extra? I think I missed one. Automated padding sounds neat if you want to automatically make text as large as possible for the display. This won't quite do that for you, although that would be interesting as well. What this does is, like, if your padding is too small, then the outlined label specifically crashes. So this would, like, automatically find the smallest padding that works without crashing. But it doesn't necessarily affect the actual size of the text. That's more controlled by scale. Or if you use a custom font, then it's controlled by the font. Commas are just a replacement for and, so having the comma and then and, it's like saying and, so we can get rid of and, I guess. Oh, but it, no, I think and sounds more natural than no and, so I guess I'll just get rid of the comma. Only if greater than 2 items. I do like this wording. The below is an example. Or the code below? Code below? Yeah, in the original context, in the original program, this being a variable made a little bit more sense because there was 2 different ones. I don't know if I have it open somewhere still. So it was actually like conditionally choosing which value to use, whereas I have since changed it in this one that I'm working in now so that it's just hard-coded. And yeah, I agree with you. It makes a lot more sense in this one. Here's how it was originally. I had it so if you are on a small display, it gives you a new line. If you're on a big display, then it gives you a single line. But I ended up changing that because I want the new line, and I actually wanted the larger words of outline label, which also are the name of the class. Albeit with a new line in between, which is not the name of the class, but... all right, let's try scrolling label. I'm not sure if this one is gonna really work out as well on the Blinka display. I'm not sure how fast we can update the display. And if we can't update the display fast enough, then it won't necessarily look like it's scrolling per se. It will look more like it's just blinking to different letters, but we'll see where we're at. I will call this scrolling label. And we're basically going to do more or less the same thing. We're going to start with setup only. Setup only, I'm going to change actually setup only to have auto refresh false for now, since the auto refresh doesn't work. I'm just going to change this. This pally. You do the below as an example, then remove the first use of example. It's repetitive. Use example twice. See the example. Put below as an example. Oh, here's an example. Yeah. Let's say here is a depiction, illustration, screenshot. I think screenshot is probably just the best. Yeah, I will, Oxford comma. I've heard Oxford comma as a term, but I don't know what it is or what it means really. I am definitely amongst the improper English. Also, we should change, I'm doing all of this in setup only, and I shouldn't be. Yeah, that should be the end of setup only. Then what we want is to copy paste that to scrolling label. And this is where we're going to want to be putting this stuff. Also, we should change setup only to have display IO at the end, since we saw that those being in the other order makes it take forever. Now we can do this. Should do it before show. Well, it doesn't matter because we're not calling refresh. You need to call update, and then we'll need to call refresh also, but I don't know if it's gonna work really. Animate time 0.13. But it doesn't really return if it changed, does it? There's a force. Might be interesting to modify that to actually like return true if it did update it. Because basically what happens is if animate time has elapsed, but if it didn't elapse, then it just doesn't do anything. But if we had this like return true if it does update and then false if it doesn't update, we could only refresh when it returns true. So now we could say updated equals, then we could say if updated display.refresh. And that's at 0.3 seconds. Maybe we might be all right with that, honestly. We'll see. Give it a try. Only one way to find out. That's not true. There's probably more than one way to find out, but this is the way I'm going to use. I didn't add it to the group. Same thing I did last time, in fact. Nice. Nice. Main group.append, my scrolling label. Yeah, that's actually not as bad as I was imagining. I'll call that a win. I'm not sure how much faster we could get. I mean, actually, that's not bad either. And that one, I'm actually really surprised. We could probably honestly go even faster if we turned off all these prints. One thing I have found is that prints are actually fairly slow as far as like stuff goes. All right, that's looking good. I'm gonna try scaling it. If we scale it, is that gonna slow it down though? I'm not sure. I don't know if we can fit 3. Yeah, we probably would not be able to fit another multiple there. I want to move it a little bit further away from the edge just so we're not like right on the corner basically. I don't know. I'm honestly kind of an anchor point, anchor position kind of person myself. I'm just going to start using that instead. Black formatter loves that comma so much that I'll add an extra after the last item in the list. Does that make Oxford comma Pythonic? Nice. Yeah, I've noticed that they really like that extra comma at the end there on the formatters. I'm trying to think if there's a good way for me to like start my video from the beginning. I'm actually sure that there is though. I mean, I guess the best way would be to record the whole thing, starting wherever I start, get at least one complete cycle, and then I could go back and cut out just the one full loop. I'm going to do a smaller one because this time we're going to end up putting this into a GIF, and using a smaller size is actually going to, actually I get to choose when I start. Using a smaller size is going to result in a smaller GIF at the end, I think. I wonder if my mouse is included. I think I hit the loop perfectly. Oh, I think I did. Yeah, I think so. I think we actually hit the loop like on the head. Nail on. Bang on? I think British people say bang on. What is it? Easy GIF, I think? Let me catch up on the chat. Seen that sometimes. I'm like, why? It's for when you're coding in a team. I'm not sure I follow how that helps you if you're coding in a team. By the extra commas, list dictionaries makes inserting and removing code easier. I would say that's true. It does make inserting and removing code easier, in my case specifically, because I like to use Control-D in PyCharm, which is duplicating lines. Makes PR reviews easier? I'm not sure I follow with that logic either. Even that cup of extra commas. Grab an extra one out of the box. Yeah, well, it is a syntax error in some languages. But Java doesn't support that, I don't think. Not sure about JavaScript. I think maybe the JavaScript does not either, but I have a lot more experience with Java, truthfully. Actually, man, these days my experience is probably equal, but that being said, I still feel like I have more experience with Java. It's actually kind of crazy if I think about how long I've been using JavaScript. Where this is in screencasts, which is in, okay, let's rename that. Actually, I'm going to copy it over to downloads. Scrolling label screen record. Code format matters make cross-team contributions easier. Less format war discussions, that's true. I mean, it can definitely lessen the discussions around it if there's just a tool that makes it the correct way. Having a correct way and a tool that enforces it is definitely the easiest way to do it. Java or not a language? I'm pretty fond of Java. I've made a comfortable life for myself with Java, so a lot of people like to hate on it, but I'm in a place where I am in no small part due to Java, so. Was it really 9 seconds? Oh, it is, okay. I thought it said 6 seconds before. Yeah, we want the whole thing. Size should be small enough to just stay up to 10 seconds, so we could actually do our max frame rate here. But that might give us a bigger file. fmpeg. Started learning Java because of Minecraft. Yeah, that's a good one too. I was playing games, had my head buried in the syntax trying to manage a game server. You can do a lot of cool stuff with Minecraft. Java get created and used to access. Never understood it. All right, I am back to green on OBS, so hopefully we didn't. If we cut out, hopefully it wasn't too bad or too long, but it seems to be back to green now. So Do we want to do anything else here? Size, I mean, there's optimize. We already did I mean, this, it doesn't say optimize though, okay. Wow, that got it down to only 22K. It basically looks the same to my eye. If anything, like, maybe the white is a little closer to gray than white, but like, it's maybe a tad slower, but we're also now like scrolling 2 on the same page. Well, no, it probably just is slower, right? Because it has way fewer frames. I think it's still fine, though, as an illustration. Rolling label, screen record, easygif.com, optimize. 23K. Looks pretty good to me. Scrolling label. The Billy Mays comma. Billy Mays here. You know what I'm surprised by, kind of, is that there aren't that style of infomercial more prominent in YouTube. The YouTube sales pitch people are, I mean, I guess they exist in their own way. I don't know. And I have not thought about Billy Mays in years. It's actually really funny. You know, has anybody here seen, I think it's called Major League? That's a movie about baseball, and there's a character in there called Billy Mays Hayes. And then, like, I saw that movie before I ever saw Billy Mays, the television pitch person. So whenever I see Billy Mays, the television pitch person's name, I always think of Billy Mays Hayes from Major League. Yep, Charlie Sheen was. Charlie Sheen was the pitcher. No. Yeah, he was the pitcher with bad eyes. He had to get glasses. Billy Mays was the guy that was stealing bases all the time. Hammered a pair of gloves to his wall for every base that he stole. That's a funny movie. Not necessarily child appropriate, but I thought it was funny, at least when I was a kid, which is interesting that I said not necessarily child appropriate, but I don't know, I was probably like 10 or 12 or something, if I had to guess. Maybe a little bit older. This one is older. I guess we could go back and get the same version type situation, though, right? We may as well. Just kind of word it basically the same way. This one's going to be much older, I think. Can you search releases? Yeah, nice. Scrolling? No. So this is adding something to the scrolling label, but it kind of is written as though the scrolling label already existed. So I guess let's look at 228. Go back from there. Maybe this did add it, actually. Maybe it just has a different, maybe the name or the wording just makes it seem like it was there, but updated. This release introduces the ability to update the text outside of the scrolling label constructor. Compare. I want to compare it with the one that came before it. Yeah, scrolling label definitely still existed. Let's look here. We can go to like history, I think. Scrolling label. 2 years ago. I don't know if you number 164, 222. Scrolling label. Why did my search for scrolling not find this? Can I search for scrolling? Okay. It wants the full word. Alright, well, it's good to know at least. I need that page. 222, it said. I'm going to close that because that's actually an older instance of this page. Outside so that it's allowed to scroll off the screen. Not sure what that's in reference to. Outside so it's allowed to scroll off the screen. Maybe the GIF or something? Voodoo Haitian. Oh yeah, the guy cursing the bats. And then they gave him a bucket of KFC to sacrifice. Man. We maybe don't even need to say now here. It should maybe just be starting with the release version of the Adafruit display text library supports. Get the T this time. Specified maximum number of characters showing at a time and will scroll through a larger message like a marquee. And I guess we'll just do it basically the same with a side 2 here. I think I can use a GIF in the side 2. Maybe. That didn't seem to work. Try one more time, but maybe we can't use a GIF here. Yeah, I mean, usually it would open up that other window that gives you the cropping thing, but it doesn't seem to do that. It's one of the first scrolling labels where we're using a bounding box method explicitly. Yeah, it is. I think the first one where it's like fit the text inside of the box rather than just grow the box to fit the text. I think that would be another label that I would like to have. I don't know a good name for it. Maybe contained label? Yeah. Box label or something. I think it would be nice if we had a label where you could define, like, you know, width is 200 pixels, height is, 100 pixels or whatever, and then your text will, like, if you have more text than that, it will get cut off. It will wrap in order for the width to not get exceeded, but then the height, if you have too much, it will get cut off. Or maybe eventually we could support vertical scrolling, even would be kind of cool, but right now the label, you kind of have to like micromanage it if you want it to behave that way, like fit itself inside of a specific size box. You have to like use wrap text and set the text yourself around that rather than just being able to give it a size and it does its thing. All right, I'm going to just delete this side too. I think it doesn't seem like it likes that. I'll try just media. See if that's any better. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Depicted above. I'll keep the variable this time since it's like super long. I mean, I guess we're probably end up wanting these to be like this anyway. With learn, it ends up wrapping if it's too wide anyway, which makes it look a little bit harder to follow. All right, cool. Let's check the, how did I end up in my own browser over here? I must have accidentally dragged that at some point. I don't know why that just went to the end. Truncated, constrained, clipped. Oh, for names. Constrained I like. Of those three, that's probably the one that I am most drawn to off the top of my head. Truncated, I'm not sure if I go with truncated because it will only truncate if your text is actually too long. As long as your text is short enough, then it will fit and not be truncated. And if we do create some kind of vertical scrolling mechanism, then it's not even necessarily that it will be truncated at all. You'll just have to scroll to see the rest of it. But that's also potentially like an even separate new label, potentially. Like this constrained label is maybe one new one, and then vertical scrolling label is maybe another new one. Or maybe scrolling label could start supporting both, scrolling vertically and horizontally. Would need quite a bit of updates, but it's potentially possible. I'm pretty sure Kmatch actually made a really nice touchscreen enabled scrolling label. I have no idea where to find the code for it, but I saw him show it off once. It was looking really cool. Like it had either a resistive or capacitive touchscreen. I think it was resistive, like with a stylus, and you could just scroll up like you would on an old school Palm Pilot, basically. It's actually really cool. Not entirely sure how that worked, though. All right, let's hit the preview. Make sure we're looking good on the preview side. Or the live, it's really just a live page at this point. It's not even a preview since this is a published guide already. Stylus, yeah, user assistive, yeah. All right, starting with so I'll just read through these kind of out loud to see if I spot anything super out of whack. Starting with the release version 3.1.0, the Adafruit display text library supports an outlined label, which lets you make text with an outline stroke of a specified size and color. It's kind of wordy. It probably could be worded better, but it doesn't seem completely terrible to me. Here is an screenshot. Here is a screenshot. Refresh. Here is a screenshot of an outlined label with pink text color and green outline color. The code below is an example. Of this? Yeah, I think I like of this at the end there. I know you gave me like a more concise version of that, and I slowly changed it and added it back to where it was almost the same. My apologies if that's like making it worse again, but it's kind of how it fits in my brain. Text area, outline label, yeah, that's just the code. Scrolling label. Starting with the release version 2.22.0, Adafruit display text library supports scrolling label. The scrolling label, I should code that one. You'd think I would be smart enough to start clicking this so I don't have to scroll after I refresh, but not until now. The scrolling label class is a label that can have a specified maximum number of characters showing at a time and will scroll through a larger message like a marquee. Should I specify horizontally? Will scroll horizontally through? Or, and will horizontally scroll through? I think I should. I mean, it's obvious from the GIF, but I also don't want to like let somebody down if they read that and they're like, well, it's not working how I want. Horizontally before or after scroll. The scrolling label class is a label that can have a specified maximum number of characters showing at a time and will scroll through a larger message like a marquee. And will scroll, I like horizontally after, I think. Scroll horizontally through a larger message like a marquee. To me, marquee implies, oh, that's a good point, true, yeah, actually. Yeah, that's actually probably good enough, honestly. Scrolling label depicted above is initialized with the following code. Nice. All right. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. It's weird about the side too. I do think this is a little bit awkward. Like, these really feel like they would make a perfect candidate for a side two, but didn't seem to like the GIF. Not sure if there's a different way to do it that works, but yeah, and this advanced color masking feels sort of random. But there's also not like necessarily another great place to put it. You know what, actually, though, for scrolling label, we should include a little bit more code here because you need to call update. So let's include a while true and update in this code. Otherwise, somebody will like add it and be like, it's not scrolling. Which is very true, it's not, because you have to have this part. While true, my scrolling label.update. Theoretically, we could also either link or embed. I don't think we would want to embed them, though. We could either link or embed the actual examples that are in the display text repo. I think it's okay without, though, honestly, because this is pretty much the relevant chunk of code from those examples. So I gotta run to the restroom as well. I'm not gonna make it, so I will be right back. Okay, need to run an errand. Thanks for the stream. Yep, take it easy. How's it going, Ty? This looks interesting. Most appropriate for what I'm playing with 4.9. Can REPL be made scrolling text too? Not easily, is the short answer. Yeah, not easily. Terminal IO docs. And also take it easy, Devin, as well. Looks like heading out. Yep, have a lovely weekend. Thanks for hanging out, Devin. Otherwise, just a matter of time before someone asks about vertical scrolling. Why would you want to scroll the REPL? I mean, honestly, I think that would be super cool if you could scroll the REPL, like on the display. Like, imagine if you had a PyPortal being able to like scroll up and see the rest of the stuff that got printed. I think would actually be super cool. But I think the truth is that data is not. I think that data's gone. I don't think it can work because I think it's gone. It would have to store the history somewhere. I don't think it does today. Well, I mean, so the short answer is like maybe, actually, because Terminal IO has some support for these things. And I'm pretty sure there are some of these things that allow scrolling. And in fact, the project that I worked on recently, I forgot what the name of the actual guide is off the top of my head, though. Editor, there you go, CircuitPython editor. So this basically allows the REPL to scroll. Because this code is just using the serial console, the serial output. It's not using label or display text or anything like that. It's just using that serial console, CircuitPython terminal, the proper name for that. And this is able to scroll around. I will say the magic for that is going to be in The magic for that is going to come from if you wanted to figure out how to try to apply this to the serial console. So I'm not telling you it definitely can work, but I am telling you maybe it can work because I've seen this thing do it, and this thing also uses terminal I/O the same way the serial console does. I think probably the place to look if you are interested in trying is these two links right here. I'll link the guide while I'm on the editor. So that guide, and then on the overview page, if you look at the link to Jeff's repo and the link to the CPython version, this one has a lot more explanation of how the code works, but it's also not CircuitPython specific. This one is like regular Python. Jeff took all of that work and made it into CircuitPython supported thing right here, a text editor basically. And this text editor is able to scroll up and down to view different parts of the file. So the fact that that can work makes me think maybe that the actual scrolling itself could possibly work for the REPL. Now, I do still stand by, I think what I said before is that, like today, I don't believe any part of the system is storing that as text. So you would need to add a mechanism that actually stores that history as text. That way you could be able to scroll it into view, I think, but I'm not sure. In the case of this, it's always reading that text out of a file. So when it scrolls up or down, it's just like, I mean, it probably has already loaded it to a string. If it didn't, then it's just going into that file and reading it. Yeah, the cursor was a bit of a hack as well. The cursor, technically, theoretically, kind of maybe a little bit, there is support for cursor inside of this thing. But the truth is the cursor that is inside of this thing like kind of exists in some of the internal code, but doesn't do anything really. It will it can kind of keep track of itself, but it can't draw itself. It can't like physically visibly be shown. So it's sort of there, but not in a way that's usable. In this guide, what I ended up doing was drawing on top another small label that's just inverse colors, and then moving that small label around. My label on top has only a single character in it, and I just move it around to wherever it's at. So it's technically layered on top. Theoretically, it's possible to update this internally. I took a look at it, and it was very well beyond my means. The file isn't saved in similar buffered big strings. Yeah. Yeah, some part of it would need to like try to keep that, I think. But all right, I think I will call it a day for now there. Got some running around to do. Somehow I ended up on in a different guide, I guess. Let's back up real fast. All right, yeah, there you go. So check it out, the new kinds of labels if you're interested. These are not brand new as of the time I just did this stream, but they are. The outline label especially is relatively new. That just got released like a couple of weeks ago. And the scrolling label is older, but it just wasn't really documented anywhere, except for the Winamp guide, I think, talks about it. But obviously the Winamp guide is kind of project specific. So now it's more in a generalized display text section of the Learn Guide system. Thanks for playing it out, hypothetically. Yep, for sure. Take it easy, everybody. I will be back next week on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. at the usual time for some more CircuitPython streaming. Until then, I will bid you farewell. Hope you have a nice day and a good weekend, and I will see you later.